Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. My name is Sudhir Sahasranaman and you're watching Study with Sudhir. I hope you've already seen the introduction video to the Pygmalion. Now, in this video, we are going to start with Act 1 and I expect this particular act to be done in about 4 videos so that no video gets very long. The explanation will be in simple English and I can guarantee you this is going to be the most comprehensive explanation you will find anywhere, with every word, every line, every theme discussed as we go along. So let's get started with the Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. I hope you have this particular textbook with you. There could be another edition, no issues. I have taken this PDF from somewhere, from one of the original texts, and I could see at some places there are some portions which are not there in this particular MSB publisher's textbook. So no worries, I've marked that out. If there is a change, go by what is there in your textbook. Okay, not too many changes, so not too many things which have been changed. At one place I found it had been changed, at one place it was not there, but it was there in the text and I have removed it from this particular PDF. Now this particular act takes place in Covent Garden and the timing is about 11:15 in the night. So the timing is very clearly mentioned and that is significant because it is also taking place in summer, but more importantly, it is raining as it does quite often in the city of London. London, in fact, is known for its rather fickle weather. It rains out of nowhere, though I must say their weather forecasts are extremely accurate. In fact, if the BBC says it's going to drizzle today, everyone will be out with their umbrellas and trolleys. Cab whistles blowing frantically in all directions. So the opening scene is kind of painting a picture of chaos that is taking place because of the rain that time of the night. And cabs whistles happening everywhere. They add to the confusion and also indicate that everyone is trying to hire a cab so that they don't get wet and they can get back home. So cab whistle is the whistling you do in order to attract the attention of the cab driver so that they can hire him. Pedestrians running for shelter into the market so that they don't get wet, and under the portico of St. Paul's Church. Okay, St. Paul's Church. Now, this is the place where the action takes place as far as the entire Act 1 is concerned. So the location is also significant. You would need to remember that, where there are always several people, among them a lady and her daughter in evening dress. Now, this is significant because, one, the London rain makes the entire atmosphere a bit of a gloomy side. Number two, no one wants to get wet, so everyone is looking for a place where they can find shelter so that they don't get wet till such time that they can hire a cab. The note put by Bernard Shaw also makes it clear that one person is slightly different from the rest. As we read along, they are all peering out gloomily at the rain, except one man with his back turned to the rest. So there is one man who is not doing what the others are doing. So right at the beginning, right at the outset, George Bernard Shaw is pointing to this person that he's the person we need to focus on. He's going to be an important person in the overall context of the action of the play. And what is he doing? He seems wholly preoccupied. Preoccupied means he's completely engrossed with a notebook in which he's writing busily. So he's writing something, and that's a rather unusual activity to engage in when it is raining, because when it is raining, the last thing you would expect anyone to be doing is to be writing something on a notebook, because the chances of water falling on the notebook are quite high wherever you may be. I mean, there can always be a leaky roof. So that is something, an unusual activity. The church clock strikes the first quarter. The first quarter means 15 minutes past the quarter, and we've already been told about the time out here, haven't we? So 11:15 p.m. So the first quarter that's where the church clock actually hits. So the opening stage direction sets the scene and the mood of the play. The place is Covent Garden, as I mentioned, which is a bustling and a very busy place in London, but it is now very wet and miserable. People are in evening clothes. That's another significant detail. So it's probably after a theater show or event. Everyone is seeking shelter except one mysterious man, as we know, who is busy writing in a notebook. Now, the important point that you need to bear in mind is that the rain has forced people from a variety of backgrounds, a variety of different social classes. And this is important because social classes is at the heart of this particular play. So they are from different social classes who normally may not interact with each other, but they are all under the portico of this particular church. And interestingly, it's a church. So these are small details which I want you to be mindful of, because they tell you something. They tell you something which George Bernard Shaw wants you to focus on. Now, let's get started with the actual lines. There is a daughter, and mind you, in this entire play, in the first act, the names of the main characters or even the other supporting characters are not mentioned at all, right? So that is something which is an interesting kind of a ploy used by Shaw. The daughter in the space between the central pillars. So it's obviously a church with lots of pillars, and between the central pillars, close to the one on her left. So you realize Bernard Shaw has given very precise direction to the director of the play that this is the way I want this particular character to be standing, this particular actor to be standing. I'm getting chilled to the bone. What can Freddy be doing all this time? He has been gone 20 minutes. So the tone is of irritation. The tone is of exasperation. The tone is of complaining. The tone is of impatience. So I'm giving you 4 different adjectives which convey what kind of a mood the daughter is in at that point in time. Getting chilled to the bone means I'm feeling extremely cold right now, feeling extremely cold. She complains that her brother has been away. Freddy is her brother. I mean, I'm telling you that detail. I mean, you may not know. Whenever the actor comes and says Freddy, you wonder Freddy is who. But I mean, we know later that Freddy is her brother. So she's complaining about her brother Freddy, who has been away for apparently 20 minutes and hasn't come back while she's feeling so cold because of the rain there, right? So her tone is one of irritation and dismay and disapproval of Freddy taking so long to come back with a cab. She's also blaming Freddy in a sense, like, he has been gone 20 minutes, and as if to say that, I mean, does it take so long to get a cab, right? Without realizing that there is cabs are obviously in short supply at that point in time. So the character trait that is reflected of the daughter is that probably she's a spoiled kind of person, maybe not used to inconvenience, maybe pampered a bit. And 20 minutes is also showing that it's showing Freddy's inability. The impression you get is that probably Freddy is not good enough to find a cab in a hurry, right? So you are almost believing that Freddy is incompetent in that sense. The mention of 20 minutes also indicates some kind of a precision. She's mentioning 20 minutes. He has been gone. She's not saying 15 to 20 minutes. She's saying 20 minutes. So that shows a certain degree of precision. It could also mean a certain degree of exaggeration. I mean, it could have been 10 minutes, but since she's feeling cold, it may be seeming like 20 minutes. So see, in literature, various interpretations are always possible, and a good student will always be open to different kinds of interpretations, would be aware of different kinds of interpretations. So from the first lines, you kind of realize that she expects Freddy to do something for her, but he's not able to. And that kind of irritates her. That kind of annoys her. Okay, the mother, her mother. And she's standing on the right side of her daughter. Not so long, but he ought to have got us a cab by this. Now, the mother is immediately negating her claim of 20 minutes. She says, no, not so long, but yes, he should have got us a cab by now. I agree with that point, but I don't think it has been 20 minutes since he went to get a cab. So we also realize that Freddy is the person who is kind of doing his job as some kind of a chivalrous gentleman, going out in the rain to find a cab for his mother and sister. Now, there is a bystander, means someone else also who has taken shelter under the in the portico of the church and not to get wet in the rain. He says he won't get no cab not until 11:30, missus, when they come back after dropping their theatre fares. Now, he's giving a piece of information. What the bystander is saying is fact-based. It is based on fact. So he's saying, so his tone is what? Please note this down. Whatever I'm writing it here and whatever I'm saying, please keep a notebook. Please keep your book open in front of you. You need to write down everything because there's a lot of detail which I'll keep on giving. So his tone is informative, right? But at the same time, it's a little casual. He won't get no cab not until 11:30. So it's a sense, it's very conversational. It's a bit casual. However, it's also loaded with information. And it shows his working class dialect. And this is a phrase that you need to use a lot in your answers for the Pygmalion. Okay, he won't get no cab not until 11:30. So he's giving useful information that cabs will not be available until the theatre goers are dropped off at around 11:30 p.m., which means they will have to wait for another 15 minutes or so. So he's revealing an important aspect of the play, the contrast. Please note this down. The contrast between the upper class expectation, the upper class as represented by the daughter and the mother, especially the daughter, there is a sense of expectation. But he's representing the working class realism. He's kind of very pragmatic. He realizes that 11:30, before 11:30, you're not going to get a cab. So he's very pragmatic. He's very realistic. But the upper class is more bordering more on expectation. The mother, but we must have a cab. We can't stand here until 11:30. It's too bad. So the mother is again pretty much echoing what her daughter was saying. She's sounding helpless. She's sounding complaining. And she says that, oh no, we can't be waiting here for another 15 odd minutes. And it is very important that she uses this word must. We must. It's a sense of right. We must have this, She's talking from a sense of entitlement. I must have this ice cream today, right? Like some of you may be saying, right? I must have this work done today, right? So you are demanding something. There is a sense of entitlement. And we can't stand here. That it's impossible for us to stand here till 11:30. And then she delivers a judgment saying it's too bad. So she's... her belief that the discomfort in the rain entitles her to a solution to the problem immediately. That's what her frame of mind is. The bystander says, well, it ain't my fault, missus. So, it's a little amusing that the bystander says, well, it's not my fault, right? His tone is a little defensive. But at the same time, he's politely pointing out to her that their discomfort, the daughter and the mother's discomfort, is not because of him. It is not his responsibility, right? So it shows, it kind of prepares, this one line kind of prepares us for the friction between the classes. That the friction between the classes, the upper classes and the working class is going to come to the fore. And he's also asserting his position. That's very significant. The daughter says, if Freddy had a bit of gumption, he would have got one at the theatre door. Now, gumption means common sense or initiative. Both can be the meanings that, she's either saying that he did not have common sense, or if he had taken the initiative, he would have actually got a cab right at the theatre door instead of making us wait in this rain for the last 20 minutes in her book. Now the mother, so while the daughter is blaming her brother and trying to paint a picture of him, because we haven't met Freddy as yet. So whatever we know about Freddy as a reader, as a viewer, is from what the daughter and to an extent what the mother is saying, right? So that's the impression you will gather, right? Like person A says something about person B. You don't know person B. You immediately believe whatever person A is saying about person B without thinking that whatever she may be saying may be completely untrue. The way the world operates on WhatsApp. Somebody sends you delivers a WhatsApp to you, you believe, this must be true. That person B must be a very bad man, without knowing the entire story. So that's something which you should never do. So here she is painting the picture of Freddy as some kind of an incompetent man. Also, a sense of weak masculinity. Why is this important? Is because this was some kind of a character trait which many male characters were given in the literature of England of that time, in Victorian England, etc. So, males not being associated with courage, which traditionally would have been the case, but this kind of a trend had also come, and that's how Freddy is being picturized, portrayed out here. The mother, what could he have done, poor boy? So the mother comes to the defense of her son, and she says, and she displays some kind of a protective instinct, right? Protective instinct. And she also indirectly acknowledges the limitations of Freddy. And, from a very gender and a class point of view, it shows that Freddy is being treated with kid gloves, being treated a little softly, despite his inability to find a cab for that long. Now, the daughter, other people got cabs. Why couldn't he? So now, what do you think the tone is like? The tone is now not complaining. The tone is now accusatory, that everyone else got cabs. Why couldn't he get a cab, right? And it also is a tone of frustration, immense frustration. Her line also underlies a very key social idea that if others in your class are able to manage to get something, why can't you? Why couldn't he, right? So that is a subtext that Freddy is not living up to the expectations of the family, number one. Number two, he's not displaying social competence. Okay, whatever words I'm using, please use in your answers. He's not displaying social, he's displaying or rather social incompetence, and he's also not living up to the family's expectation that he should be able to, he should be street smart enough to get a cab. Now, at that point in time, the person who is being spoken about enters the scene, that is Freddy. Now, Freddy rushes in out of the rain from the Southampton street side and comes between them, closing a dripping umbrella. Dripping umbrella. Please note the detail. It shows that it has been raining heavily, despite which he had gone out, tried to get a cab, but has not been able to. So the fact is that the dripping umbrella detail gives you gives you an idea about how heavily it's raining. Point number two, he's a young man of 20 in evening dress, which means he was also out for a social outing, very wet around the ankles. And that's the other detail that Shaw is providing you with, which indicates that it was raining heavily. Now, Shaw has already kind of mocked by this interaction between the mother-daughter and the bystander. He has kind of mocked at the upper class helplessness. Oh, we have not called a cab right now. What will we do? Kind of a thing. There is a sense of entitlement, even in trivial matters, that we should be able to get a cab immediately. Like the mother says, till 11:30 we have to wait. Oh no. So there is a sense of entitlement, right? Now, Shaw's note about Freddy's entry, it gives us a visual clue that Freddy is clearly struggling. He's wet. He's flustered. Flustered is a word that you should use because that kind of indicates that he's agitated, he's confused, running in, and he's unsuccessful in the mission. The symbolism of the dripping umbrella and being very wet around the ankles is one of ineffectiveness, and of course the literal part that it is raining heavily outside. It also tells us that he's probably an upper class young man of 20 who is unprepared for practical life. He's not prepared. He doesn't manage to do a simple task like getting a cab when all others are probably getting, right? Bernard Shaw's intention, as I see it, is also to reinforce Freddy's ineptitude and softness despite his social task. He's not like his sister. At least till now, we haven't seen or heard him talking like his sister, right? But at the same time, from a sister's point of view, she may be right in seeing her brother as being very soft. The Southampton Street is an area in the Covent Garden area. Now, the daughter says the first thing, she's not worried. Oh, dear brother, dear Freddy, you are so wet. Oh, your trousers are wet. Your umbrella is dripping. No, nothing of the sort. She says, well, haven't you got a cab? So the tone is very, very sharp, stinging, and she sees it as Freddy's duty to have arranged a cab. You had to do it, and you did not do it. Haven't you got a cab? So it also shows the gender expectations in the London of that time, where men were expected to be resourceful for the women. There is not one to be had for love or money. Now he's using a slightly, an idiom, almost like a poetic idiom. The idiom for love or for money, not to be had, for love or for money, means that it is not available at any cost. There is not a single free cab out there. His tone is defensive. His tone is also conveying that he did not manage to be successful in getting a cab, and he's clearly overwhelmed by the effort he has made to get a cab. It's not as though he has not made that effort, but he has been unsuccessful, and it has overwhelmed him, the entire effort that he has made. Oh, mother, oh, Freddy, there must be one. You can't have tried. Now, the mother's tone is one of disbelief. You can't have tried, which means that there had to be one. And how can you say that there wasn't one at all available? You would not have tried well enough. So she's also, in a sense, accusing him of not saying the entire truth. There is a sense of disbelief. She's undermining his effort, not respecting the effort that he has made in that rain, and saying that, he would not have tried well enough. The daughter says, it's too tiresome. Do you expect us to go and get one ourselves? Do you expect us to go? You can't do it. Do you expect we, the ladies, the women, to go? So there is also a sense of entitlement, but more importantly, there is a sense of sarcasm out there, right? It shows that the idea that a lady would look for her own cab is something which is unthinkable. How can you expect? We have to go and do it ourselves. Freddy says, I tell you, they're all engaged. Engaged means they all have passengers. The rain was so sudden, nobody was prepared, and everybody had to take a cab. I've been to Charing Cross one way and nearly to Ludgate Circus the other, and they were all engaged. So what he's doing, in order to make himself believable, in order to make his sister and mother believe what he's saying, he's giving precise details as to where all he went in search of a cab that the family could hire. So it also conveys that he's pretty exhausted. He's also justifying the effort that he has made in that rain, which he says was quite sudden. It also tells you as the viewer in the play and the reader of the play that he's probably being truthful, because he's giving very precise details as to where all he went in search of a cab, right? So it kind of grounds the play in very realistic terms, in the sense that London's various geographical details like Charing Cross, which, if I remember right, is also a metro underground station, and Ludgate Circus are mentioned. The mother says, did you try Trafalgar Square? Now, Trafalgar Square is the area outside Buckingham Palace where the King of England, King Charles, stays. Did you try Trafalgar Square? Now, the tone is one again of disbelief. He's saying the other two places, but did you try that? Did you try that? It's like, you say that I got 100, I scored 100 marks in mathematics and physics, but did you get 100 in chemistry? Your mother or father may ask. It's a bit like that. Did you try Trafalgar Square? So it is kind of undermining Freddy despite his very precise replies, and shows lack of empathy. The mother and daughter are, in a sense, conveying lack of empathy. There wasn't one at Trafalgar Square. And here it kind of shows that he says, no, it wasn't. Did you try? Now, this is again showing a lack of empathy and disbelief. I tried as far as Charing Cross Station. Did you expect me to walk to Hammersmith? Now, Freddy is also beginning to lose it. Beginning to lose it means he's also getting a little impatient with uh, the kind of queries that they are, the tone of their queries. So his answer here: did you expect me to walk to Hammersmith? I mean, did you really think that in this rain I would walk as far as Hammersmith? The daughter says, you haven't tried at all. It shows the daughter in extremely poor light, spoiled. She's dismissive of her brother's efforts. In a way, she's accusing him of lying, right? You haven't tried at all, kind of a thing. You really are very helpless, says the mother, Freddy. Go again and don't come back until you have found a cab. So the mother dismisses Freddy. She seems to take her daughter's side and wants him against coming back without getting a cab. So there is that inversion of gender expectations. While the man is weak, the women of the family order him around, saying that you got to do this. Freddy says, I shall simply get soaked for nothing. So here, Freddy is displaying his reluctance. He's aware that nothing will satisfy them, even if he tried again. And what about us? Are we to stay here all night in this drought with next to nothing? You selfish pig. This is extremely ironic. By now, you would know who is being the selfish person out here. Drought means gust of wind. Okay. A strong gust of wind means, in Hindi, if I had to say, bahut tez hawa. Okay. Gust of wind. So are we to stay here while it is, very strong wind? It's also 20 minutes when the mother said, it can't be 20 minutes. Gust of wind, it also shows that she's given to exaggeration. It's a case of a hyperbole, being used out there. And she's focused entirely on her own discomfort. She insults him by calling him a selfish pig. The irony is that she's the one who is being selfish. She's the one who is being unfair. And it is Freddy who is the one who is suffering by getting wet in the rain, right? So this is a case of extreme irony. See, I'm explaining all this in great detail because for the 1 mark because questions, all these things will come in very handy when you need to write that sentence about the, what is the reason for something like this. Freddy, oh, very well. I'll go. He opens his umbrella and dashes off strandwards, but comes into collision with a flower girl who is hurrying in for shelter, knocking her basket out of her hands. A blinding flash of lightning, followed instantly by a rattling peal of thunder, orchestrates the incident. Now, Freddy is going, oh, very well. I'll go. So there is a sense, because there is so much of harshness in the tone of his mother and sister especially. So he says that, oh, very well, I'll go. He's reluctant. This clearly indicates his reluctance. But he says, I will go, and he decides to go. And that's when Eliza Doolittle, the protagonist of the play, makes her entry. So it's important that there are two things happening out here, the weather elements. There is lightning and there is thunder. So the entry of Eliza is accompanied by lightning and thunder, and that makes it quite what? It makes it quite dramatic. It's a dramatic entry. वो hero की entry होती है ना film में, it's dramatic. The rain, thunder, lightning, it's a dramatic entry. Eliza is the protagonist of our play, and she makes a dramatic entry. And it's also, kind of positions her that she's the one we need to look out for, not the daughter, not the mother, not Freddy. The storm accompanies Eliza's entry and builds the drama. That's why I said it's a dramatic entry. And the play moves into a different plane from now onwards. Now, so there is a collision. So the flower girl speaks in a particular accent, which I had told you about in the introduction video, which is known as the Cockney accent, right? Which is known as the Cockney accent, which is the working class English spoken. Now, it's a working class English accent with phonetic spelling. And what Bernard Shaw has done is to use the phonetic spelling to showcase class through speech, because that's really at the heart of this entire play. What she's saying now is, hey now, Freddy, look where you are going. dear. Okay, this is what she says. So what it shows is that she's not afraid to confront the other person when there has been a collision, because he has knocked her basket of flowers. And she also assumes familiarity by calling him Freddy by his name, which of course we realize later was just a matter of coincidence. And because this aspect makes his mother suspicious as to how does this go. Like most mothers, most parents, it makes the mother suspicious. How does this girl know my son? Kind of a thing. Okay, well, I found this detail very interesting. Freddy says sorry and he rushes off. So he has manners, right? The flower girl picking up the scattered flowers and replacing them in the basket. She says, this is manners. Okay, manners. There is manners for you. Okay, there is manners for you. Saying that, look, there is manners, because he says sorry, right? There is manners for you. 2 bunches, okay, 2 bunches of violets trod means, they fell into the mud, fell into the mud. So basically saying that I lost 2 bunches of violet flowers. She sits down on the plinth of the column, sorting her flowers on the lady's right. Now, plinth is a raised platform. She's not at all an attractive person. So right at the beginning, Shaw is telling us that she's not an attractive person, but she's quite a personality. She's perhaps 18, perhaps 20, hardly older. So the age is between 18 to 20. She wears a little sailor hat of black straw. Sailor hat is a straw hat which is actually very hard. And it has been long exposed to the dust and soot. Soot means the pollution of London, and has seldom, if ever, been brushed. So it's obviously conveying a very shabby kind of an appearance. Her hair needs washing rather badly. Its mousy color can hardly be natural, right? So it's kind of conveying that the hair of her color, the color of her hair is actually more of dust, okay, and pollution, rather than, being her natural color. She wears a shoddy. Shoddy means shabby. Black coat that reaches nearly to her knees and is shaped to her waist. She has a brown skirt with a coarse apron. Coarse means rough. Her boots are much the worse for wear. Her boots are again not in good condition. She's no doubt as clean as she can afford to be. It means to say that she cannot be more clean than this, because she cannot afford to be more clean. She doesn't have the means to be more clean, right? And the boots also convey that she's from a lower working class and impoverished, doesn't have too much money. But compared to the ladies, she's very dirty, right? So has a very dirty appearance. She's not very good looking either. Her features are no worse than theirs, but their condition leaves something to be desired, and she needs the services of a dentist. So he says that she also needs to go to a dentist because her teeth are also not looking very clean or neat or in good condition. So her features are no worse than theirs. He's comparing it to the ladies, but the features leave something to be desired. She's not an attractive girl of 18 to 20 or a woman of 18 to 20. So, but at the same time, what Shaw is telling us is that her condition is not her fault. It's because of her poverty that she is the way she is. He also humanizes her. He tells us that she's not attractive, but she's not ugly either, right? That's what he says, right? He says that, where is the thing? She's not at all an attractive person, but, it's not something which she can really help, because it's because of the conditions that she finds herself in. Her features are no worse. He wants to say that it is circumstance, not nature, that separates her from the rich. Otherwise, if the circumstances were better, probably she would have been as good, if not better, than the other ladies out there. So the manner in which he describes her in detail, and not the mother and daughter. Mind you, he did not describe the mother or the daughter in so much of detail. In fact, hardly did that, right? Bernard Shaw wants us to realize that she's the protagonist. She's the person who we need to look at. And he also wants to convey that society judges people by their looks and appearance and accent, later on as we realize, and the way they are dressed. So he sets up Eliza Doolittle as a character who is full of potential, but she's buried under the dust and soot of London, the poverty and the grime of London, also a lot of prejudice. The mother says, how do you know that my son's name is Freddy? Pray tell me, tell me, tell me. So the tone is suspicious. Okay, what I told you. It's also a little indignant. Indignant means a sense of irritation and how dare you know my son's name, kind of a thing. So it's also a sense of distrust of the upper class towards the working class. The flower girl says, oh, uh, he's your son, is he? Okay, he's your son, is he? He is your son, is he? Well, what did they? If you did your duty, if you're done your duty because a mother should, he would better, he would know better than to spoil a poor girl's flowers than run away without pain. Okay, so that's what she's saying. I repeat, oh, he's your son, is he? Well, if you did your duty because a mother should, he would know better than to spoil a poor girl's flowers and run away without paying. Will you pay me for them? Okay, will you pay me for them? So basically, Eliza is standing her ground and she demands payment for the damage to her flowers. So she's bold, she's not afraid, and she uses this very thick working class accent to highlight her class through speech, and that's a central theme of the play. Okay. The daughter says, do nothing of the sort, mother. So the daughter says, you're not going to pay her just because she asked. So she says, you are not going to do anything of the sort. So she's dismissive of the demand for money by Eliza, and she finds it ridiculous that she has to give money to somebody. And then in the end she says, the idea. So the tone is of mocking. The idea, I mean, imagine she's expecting us to pay money just because a few bunches of violets fell down, right? So she's mocking her audacity to actually demand money. So it also symbolizes the very snobbish attitude of the daughter, whose name is actually Clara, as we realize now. The mother says, please allow me, Clara, have you any pennies? Now the mother is a little softer. She realized that Freddy did probably make a mistake by bumping into Eliza and dropping her flowers in the mud. So there has to be some kind of compensation which has to be paid. So she's displaying basic decency. The daughter says, no, I have nothing smaller than sixpence. So the daughter is clearly unwilling. The flower girl says, Eliza, I can give you change for a tanner, kind lady. So the daughter is actually referring to her as kind lady. A tanner is sixpence. Okay. A tanner is sixpence, and Eliza sees a chance to earn some money and politely offers that she can give change. The mother to Clara says, give it to me. Clara parts reluctantly. She gives the money. Now, this is for your flowers. Okay. Flower girl says, thank you kindly, lady. The daughter says, make her give you the change. These things are only a penny a bunch. So the daughter is being petty. She says, ensure that you get back the change. So she's not large-hearted. She wants Eliza to give the change. The mother says, do hold your tongue. So she says, shut up. So basically here, do hold your tongue means asking her to shut up, Clara. And then she says to Eliza, you can keep the change, right? So she's disapproves of Clara's tone. She's very sharp in her retort and shows generosity also because she wants an answer from Eliza. What question? How did you know my son's name? The flower girl says, oh, thank you, lady. The mother says, now tell me, how did you know that young gentleman's name, right? One minute. Flower girl says, I did not. She says, I heard you call him by it. Don't try to deceive me. Okay. Now the use of a word like deceive shows a notion that the upper class is always suspicious of the working class. That they're trying to deceive, that she's lying. There is a thing. And now you also see this is a common trait. While they're displaying it with Eliza, that's one way of seeing it, upper class and working class. In a way, they also displayed a similar attitude with their own son, Freddy. saying that, okay, oh, you would not have tried, are you sure that you tried? So it shows that the mother and daughter have this common trait. So there are two ways of looking at it. One, in terms of class, that they are suspicious of Eliza because she's not rich, she's a poor flower girl, so don't try to deceive me. There's a sense that, she's trying to cheat you. At the same time, you also accused your own son of cheating. So there are two ways of looking at it, two different interpretations I'm giving you. It's that it's part of their character. It also displays their class trait. So Eliza difference is there. Who is trying to deceive you? I called him Freddy or Charlie, same as you might yourself if you was talking to a stranger and wish to be pleasant. She sits beside her basket. So she says that I called him Freddy or Charlie because it's the most common name, and that's what you normally do if you're talking to a stranger, because these are common names in London. That's what she kind of says. The daughter says, "Sixpence thrown away, really, Mama? You might have spared Freddy that." She retreats in disgust behind the pillar. So she says, for this you paid up that sixpence. It was a waste of money. You need not have really bothered to find out that detail, right? So what I'm going to do now is to stop video number 1 right here. I hope till here every particular word, line, detail is clear. Okay, in the same way we will continue with the rest of Act 1 and thereafter Act 2. Okay, share the video with your friends and batchmates, and yes, of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Press the subscribe button. There's no GST on it, there's no tax on it. Okay, tata, bye bye, thank you very much, bye.